I have a new obsession, and that is Shoplifters at War with the Law. This is a documentary series on Channel 5, and I have to say there are actually 2 series, but I haven't seen every single episode. At the time of recording, I believe there were 6 episodes uploaded on My 5, and I watched them across 2 days, and they're so brilliant. So as you can imagine, this is a documentary series that focuses on shoplifters, and I do love British true crime documentaries about shoplifting, petty crimes, as it were. We're not talking murder and things, obviously. And it just always makes me feel so much better about myself. It makes me feel like I'm a good human. Because, like most people, there are days when I think, am I living a good life? Am I doing the right things? And then you look at these people and it's, you definitely feel better. They follow, I think, 2 shopping centres. One of them's got the word Fable in it, and the other one I can't remember. They are 2 British shopping centres, neither of which I'd heard of nor been in. But we get to follow these security guards and basically what it's like on a daily basis for them. We get to see in the control room with all of the cameras. I had no idea there were that many cameras in shopping centres. There are so many, and there are some things that I learned in this, actually, which I'll talk about, but I'll just talk about the structures of the documentary first, very briefly. So, quite simply, each episode gives us maybe, I kind of want to say 4 or 5 different shoplifters, give or take. And we kind of follow them from the moment when they're suspected to be shoplifting, what they have to do to watch them on camera. They're not allowed to approach them unless they're 100% sure that they've shoplifted. Apparently they could lose their badge if they, approached somebody who they thought had shoplifted and hadn't. So they can't go on a hunch, have to be 100% certain. And then what happens when they approach them? And as you can imagine, a lot of them kick off. A lot of them deny things. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, out of these 5 or 6 episodes that I watched, I don't think anybody said, all right, yes, you caught me. I think there might have been one, but for the most part, obviously when people are caught, they're like, no, of course I didn't steal anything. And some are more entertaining than others. I know that sounds terrible to say that shoplifters are entertaining, but that's the point of the documentary series. It's to shock, it's to entertain, and to inform as well. I will say there were a couple of times when they gave some information about ways in which shoplifters get away with things. And I thought, well, that's a little bit risky because people might be getting ideas from this. But obviously they also show them getting caught, so it does kind of suggest that, you can try this all you want, but you will get caught. Some of them are very dramatic. There are some chases. They all wear... obviously we have a camera crew, but the guards also wear body cams. So we get some footage there. That's kind of exciting. And we get to see the dog. I can't remember the dog's name, unfortunately, but we do get to see the dog, who is used in, I think, 2 different instances in the ones I watched, and she's beautiful. She really is. So I don't want to go into too much detail about too many of them because I don't want to spoil anything. But I will kind of mention a couple of my favourites, and I have to say my favourite of them all, because it was so unexpected. We have 3 women. All I remember is that they weren't British. And I think there were points when they were trying to play on language barriers, which happened a lot, apparently. And they'd actually sewn an additional lining into their skirts. And we're putting I think it was Aptamil or something, baby milk powder, into that lining of their skirts to shoplift. I thought, hey, that's pretty clever. Don't try this at home. But I wasn't expecting that. And we obviously get the kind of usual, young lads trying to nick things to sell for drug money and things. But a lot of the people who were stealing were atypical. And they did talk about this in the documentary that, shoplifters are becoming harder to spot because they're becoming, I guess, less predictable. There was one, I won't talk about exactly what happened, but there was one who was a Definitely an old woman. I don't know how old she was, but I'd say definitely past retirement. Couldn't walk really, unsupported. She had to hobble along. And she stole something, and that was pretty eye-opening. But the one that hit me, and it even just thinking about it now, it really, really choked me up. Honestly ridiculous. This man stole a packet of crisps. That's it. Now, obviously, the guards can't just let that slide because, it starts with a packet of crisps, they get away with it, they move on to bigger things. But he stole a packet of crisps, and obviously they caught him, and it transpired that he was homeless and just desperate for anything to eat. And it just, it's difficult. And watching the guards at work is really interesting as well, because they do kind of become like a temporary kind of counsellor, especially in those cases. They're not nasty to the thieves, as long as the thieves cooperate and don't swear and kick about. They actually, are civil to them and talk to them like human beings, as you would expect. And they do, ask, why are you doing this? And kind of, it's almost like a mental health well-being check at the same time. And just that one with the homeless man, just, it kind of screwed me over, because, he wasn't stealing to sell it, to make, I was going to say to make a profit. I guess anything is a profit if it costs you nothing. But it really hit me, and it's the emotions are coming back. It was brutal. So it's really eye-opening. It's not just about catching criminals and, doing whatever needs to be done. It was a lot more emotional than I expected. I also learned that they don't call the police unless they're a repeat offender or the value of the theft is over £200. Now, I'm not saying go and steal something that's under £200 and the police won't get called, because that's not quite true. If you kick off and stuff. And also, if you don't have ID, if you don't have any identification on you, they have to call the police. Which makes sense, of course. But, it's not an easy job. Obviously I see security guards around, but I never really think about what they do on a daily basis. I don't shoplift. I've never shoplifted in my life. I think when I was 4 years old, I once took a candy lipstick from a shop, thinking my mother had paid for it, because I'd asked if I could have one. And then when I got out of the shop, something clicked in my brain, and I realised that I don't think she'd heard me ask for it. So I threw it in the road. And that was my one and only foray into shoplifting. And, and my guilty conscience at 4 years old made me discard it on the road. The cars around us must have wondered what on earth I was doing. But, it's really eye-opening and really interesting. I'd say it's definitely worth a watch if you like this kind of thing. It's quite fast-paced. I'm a big fan of true crime documentaries, and most of the ones I watch are about murder or attempted murder. This kind of has the same pace to it, because the guards are very quick on their feet and a lot of the people kick off and it gets messy. But it's without the bloodshed. So if you find murder-based true crime a bit too hard-hitting, I think this will be perfect for you. And I loved it, and I will definitely be keeping an eye on my 5 to watch more of the episodes. Shoplifters at War with the Law is definitely my new obsession.